And now, live from the iAcquire offices in New York City, it's Lunch Break with Michael King.
Welcome back to Lunch Break, everybody. Today we are joined by, or with, Clayburn Griffin from GroupM Search. He's an organic search director. And we also have Britton Bright, who is our director of client strategy. So, Clayburn, how are you?
I'm great. I got food from my favorite place.
Oh yeah,
Good company.
Today we had where did we order from?
Ted's Montana Grill.
And what'd you have?
So I got nachos, which to share, but of course I don't think Britton wants any, but they're pretty good. This is like my favorite thing here in the city. And a burger, bison burger, bison nachos. Ted Turner, biggest landowner in the U.S., has a bunch of land in Montana. So what he decided to do, he was like, I have all this land. I like buffalo. He raises buffalo, and then he sends them out to his locations to be eaten by us at least.
Yes, the menu was very meat-tastic.
What did you have, Britton?
Meat-centric. I had a salad minus the meat. That was supposed to come on.
You go to Ted's Montana Grill and you order a salad.
Yeah.
I too ordered a salad, and you see I've kind of killed it.
But you've been having some of those nachos, right?
I've also partaken
I mean, look,
in the nachos.
Yeah,
it's a giant,
lunch with a vegetarian.
giant burger.
So Clayburn, when I first met you, you were working at Pro Media Corp, and you did SEO for like Britney Spears and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little about what it's like to do SEO for big music brands and such?
Yeah, so there was a lot of fun, but it was also pretty frustrating at times. I think you get that kind of happening anytime when you're working with any kind of like large corporation. But what's interesting about the music industry itself was that since it's a creative space, you seem to get a lot more creative pushback on things that affect SEO. So like we had like Adam Lambert, for instance, insisted that his menu navigation be symbols, astrological signs. And so it's like, okay, so instead of clicking on music, you got to click on Taurus. It's like, first of all, as a user, how do I know that? But then also search engine, what am I going to look at this Taurus symbol and know that that's relevant to music? So, we had to do a lot of like little workarounds on that. And design was probably the biggest challenge there. But overall, it was nice. They were all on Drupal. It was pretty standard across all of the artist sites. Got some free tickets to some concerts and things, but I never really took advantage of that because I'm just not a big fan of like Adam Lambert, I guess, and Britney Spears. But I know Avi did.
It's kind of funny because you're working with all these huge mega stars essentially, and you're just like unaffected, like whatever, it doesn't matter.
Can you get tickets to Beyonce?
If I could have gotten tickets to Avril Lavigne, I would have gone. Like she was like the only one that I had ever heard of on Sony's label. Like I guess I heard of Britney Spears, but like we were working with a lot of names. I'm not a good music aficionado, I guess, because I never know what's going on anyway. But yes, I was working on all these people. I had no idea who they were most of the time.
That's funny. So I like the fact that I get to talk to like youth because you're working at a big agency and we can talk specifically about who you're working with and stuff like that. And I know you and Britton worked on a pretty cool project together. You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
I've gotten to talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about it?
You're such an expert on it already. Plus, it was probably your favorite project.
It was definitely fun, but
it was all because of me, right? I mean, you got to work with me on it.
So Claire and I worked together at GroupM, and we were working on a project for Axe that was very cool. But I definitely think you're funnier when you talk about it. So this is your type of shot, buddy.
Well. So I guess they came at us with this problem of if you did a search for this term that they came up with, this perfect girl, her name is Susan Glenn. And so people are going to be searching for this once they start the ad campaign rolling it out. And they needed it to look like it meant the perfect girl. And so
they wanted to create a social term, a meme, or just a thing. They wanted to create a thing that didn't exist, and they wanted to make it up, and they wanted it to look natural.
And you
thought it was stupid.
Well, I
you did not want to do it at all, and I had to
the thing is,
you.
I don't know how familiar you are with memes, but there's actually a meme about how you can't force memes, and so
yeah,
I mean
it's the dumbest thing ever.
It was a challenge, I would say, but
I was the cheerleader for it.
Yeah.
And I enabled.
I had just started there too, so I wasn't really familiar with like the process that we would do, and like I knew how to do it myself just as an SEO, but like I didn't know how to sort of use the procedures that would be there to do it. So I had to really rely on you for that, and that helped. I
had to talk you into it though.
I just like, this is what I need. This is what I need to do it. Like I can get this done. This is what I need, and you went off and got it done. So I would say that's really the value in like like an AD, account director, project manager, or any kind of like support personnel for an SEO, is that you need somebody who can go and get the stuff done, because an SEO can say I need this in order to make this happen.
But she translates it.
But she gets it. Yeah, she gets me that. She gets me those needs, and so like it's
I
great
talk
having
good.
great having that.
So just like more specifically about the project. So it's called Susan Glenn. You guys had to, make their ad campaign into something that was real, essentially, because they launched the Kiefer Sutherland ads, and they were saying, "Oh my God, my Susan Glenn, blah blah blah," but it wasn't a thing, and you guys made it a thing.
But we got to work really, really well. We got to collaborate with BBH and Edelman, and they were awesome. They were awesome to collaborate with. So they were creating a lot of content for us to have to work with. But what we basically had to do was do a rep management campaign for a person who didn't exist, but make it appear as though it was a social phenomenon or urban, slang term.
It was
fun.
It was a really fun project, but it was also just sort of like right in my wheelhouse in a sense, because like I love reputation management, online reputation management. It's like just so much fun to me, so interesting. And then also social has always been sort of my interest in SEO. I don't like keeping social out of SEO. I think it's too much of a important factor. And a traffic driver itself. I mean, just doing social as well is important. You gotta be on the ball there. So this was just sort of the combination of those two things, and it was just what I would like to do, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm sorry.
So that's kind of a good segue. I mean, you guys just put together a book on the art of search and social.
Yeah. Mastering the Art of Social SEO.
Okay.
So 5 other colleagues of mine, we worked on this book because social is important. Last year is sort of when it became super important, and everybody's like, oh yeah, you got to do social. But it's funny because still social hasn't really completely finished its effects sort of on search. Like Google's still trying to figure out how exactly to incorporate personalized results. They started off where they were putting your picture there if you +1'd it. Now it's just this little silhouette that says this is a personalized result. Bing is trying in such silly ways to figure out how to make search social. And so 2012 was the experimentation phase, and this year I really think is when somebody's going to get it right. I don't think Facebook graph search is going to be it, but this year something's got to happen where somebody finally, Google sets down and they says, this is it. This is what it's going to be. This is how social is going to affect search, and it's going to be set, and then you can't ignore it anymore. You can't ignore social.
I actually feel like you couldn't ignore social search years ago. Like
you couldn't, but they were still experimenting. That was the problem.
I agree, but I don't even mean from a standpoint of what are the search engines going to do with this. I mean from a fact that like as a research channel, social media is so valuable to predict what's going to happen in search.
Yeah.
So the fact that people have just been using it as like an outbound channel rather than a two-way channel from a figure out what type of content we need to make, and then see how it does based on these really specific types of people. That's what the disconnect has been for SEOs. Like obviously it's going to take a while for Google to actually follow through on specifications they lay out. They'll say something like authorship is really important, but then you don't see a huge benefit from it. Or the same with like schema.org until they see that people have adopted these things. So I think to your point, you're absolutely right that we're getting to a point where they've seen a lot of adoption of these things, and they're starting to like ramp up what they're going to do with it. But it hasn't changed the fact that we as SEOs are not using it as a channel to the best of its ability.
Yeah, and whenever I got into SEO, like I didn't really go into SEO. I started off just digital marketing in general. I had websites and I wanted to get traffic there. And at the time, like in 2006, is when I really kind of got serious about it. And Twitter was finally this new shiny thing that everybody's playing with, and blogging was pretty popular. Like blogging had really started taking off as like everybody's blogging now. MySpace was still, I think, relevant, but Facebook was getting off the ground. And so all of a sudden, I realized that if I wanted to get traffic to my websites, I needed to go where people were. Just like if you're, a shop out in Manhattan, location matters. And if people are walking around on the street, you have your shop there, people are going to come visit you. And everybody's just hanging out like on the sidewalks that are, Twitter and Facebook, and you got to open up shop there so you can get them in.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll be right back after these messages. And we are back. We are still here with Clayburn Griffin and Britton Bright. So, we kind of talked about the idea of creating memes and such. And there's always this concept of quote-unquote viral marketing that everybody likes to hang their hat on. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that as far as like, what's your viral marketing checklist? I know like you can't really replicate that type of success easily with a checklist, but if you had to come up with one that, like, what are the points that a brand needs to consider and be on top of?
So it's impossible to guarantee that kind of success, and I think that's what brands that attempt this need to understand, because they're going to go to it thinking, it's going to be the next Old Spice guy, and it's not. Like 90% of the time, it's not. Probably more than that. But I think if you want to succeed, the key is really honesty. And I think that's why Old Spice succeeded, was that you need to, not care so much about your getting your lawyers in here and your marketing guys in here to make sure you're on the right brand message and everything like that. Just be honest. Talk to your consumers. You know who your consumers are. You should have a pretty good understanding of your product and your industry, and just talk to them in a fun way, in an engaging way. That's the key. If you're trying to sell them something, they're going to push back. They don't want that. And that's what Old Spice did, was they just thought, let's have fun with our fans. There's no real ulterior motive there. I mean, yeah, they were promoting whatever particular Old Spice product, but it wasn't like they were forcing people to sign up first or register for something or buy anything. And it wasn't overly promotional. It was just their spokesman responding to people, getting celebrities involved as well.
So how do you feel about that? Like you said, it's just them having fun with their fans. I mean, what I'm seeing, especially at iAcquire, is that there seems to be brands wanting to push more for that stale quote-unquote marketing content, and then there are those people that believe that having fun with the fans and what have you is not valuable. How do you quantify that? How do you effectively push back when they want to go, the stale route rather than the fun route?
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens all the time with traditional marketing, where you have a lot of advertising, a lot of expense associated with something that has no financial goal tied to it, and maybe even nothing that you can really track. You see people spending millions on like a Super Bowl ad, where it might not necessarily mean that I'm going to go out and buy a domain or I'm going to buy this particular car, but it's about enforcing that message and that's tied to the branding of that VW is a company that has this certain value and cares about this type of thing and believes this, whether I'm going to buy the car or not. It's about making sure you keep your company at the top of people's minds, regardless if they're your demographic or not, I think, and just and the people who are your fans, taking advantage of that, treating them, showing them some respect, I guess. I mean, if I am a fan of, for instance, KFC, I love when I'm not eating bacon on a bison burger. I like fried chicken from KFC, and they're doing a great job on Twitter, where you can tweet at them and they respond. I got some free KFC bucks from them because I we wanted to do some kind of giveaway, and we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could give away, because our mascot for this product was a chicken, and we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could give away like KFC coupons or something? And we were trying to order the KFC coupons, but we weren't sure about delivery time, if we could get it in time for the event. So I tweeted at them and was like, do we know when the coupons will arrive? And they're just like, and they're tweeting as the Colonel, and he's like, don't worry about it, the Colonel will take care of it. Didn't even have to pay for them. They just sent us like $100 worth of coupons for KFC.
That's awesome.
And they regularly, you can just tweet about KFC, and Samsung does this as well. You tweet about them, and they respond to you. I told Samsung, shouldn't it be Sam had sung? Because I'm kind of a grammar Nazi.
You would.
And they just responded. I mean, there was no value in that probably from their point of view, but they responded to me and they said, I think we'll stick with Samsung. And I happen to have like an S3, and I do really like Samsung. I don't know if it was particularly because of that exchange, but I do feel better about the company because of that. Like I already had their products, and I felt they'd make a good product. If it was a crap product and they were engaging with me on Twitter, that wouldn't be enough to win me over.
Right.
But it certainly helps.
Well, so I think this conversation kind of shows the value in that. Because the fact that you're specifically
talking to everybody here who's going to go out and buy Samsung now.
Exactly, but you have these brands like top of mind, and it ultimately facilitates that word of mouth, which is still the most powerful marketing that there is. Yeah. So I think that is more valuable than the stale, hard sell type marketing.
But people don't like it. People don't like it. Like marketers don't like it because it's so hard to track. That's the problem. But it's something that they can't ignore. They need to do it anyway. They need to understand that it does have an effect.
But back to that idea of hard to track. I mean, a Super Bowl ad is not easy to track either. And I think that a lot of brands are missing out on the digital aspect of their campaigns. Because like when we were watching the Super Bowl, I was just kind of sitting there like, taking it all in. And the only commercial that really struck me was that SodaStream commercial. I was like, wow, you don't even remember it. But I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome. And they flashed like a URL at the end of the commercial. So I went to the URL to like get a sense of what's going on with them. And on the homepage was another commercial. And then another click, another commercial. And then another click, and I get to the actual homepage.
They should have had a trailer for the upcoming commercial.
I don't even agree with that. I mean, I'm just playing. But anyway, what I believe they should have had is some sort of like community that I could join. Because let's say 5 million people are watching the Super Bowl. Let's say, 1% of those goes to the site. Let's say like 50,000 people. Yeah, 50,000 people. And let's say 10% of those people sign up for your community. That's 5,000 people you can activate easily. That's an asset for the brand. So there's still this idea that traditional and digital are like these two very different things. And I think that every campaign should have elements of both.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, you spend millions on a Super Bowl ad. But if you were just to take $1 million and say, this is my social budget for the year, that I'm going to hire people to man Twitter all the time, to engage with everybody who's mentioning us and talking to us, you might get even more benefit out of that. You get that one-on-one intimacy there that does correlate into me, coming on and talking about the fact that I, was tweeted at by the KFC Colonel or Samsung, as opposed to just, hey, I saw a VW ad on the Super Bowl, and then you're like, oh yeah, I don't remember that one, or I didn't watch the Super Bowl, or whatever. There's a more personal aspect of it that you get from social media.
No, I agree. So you brought something with you.
Yes.
What is this?
Wrapping paper.
Cookie Monster, can't go wrong. So I was watching some of the past lunch breaks, and Evan Fishkin brought you a gift.
Yes, he did. Shout out to Evan Fishkin.
You remember what it was?
It was the Icon graphic novel.
Yeah, so Icon apparently is where the superhero Icon was your inspiration. So in a similar vein, in the same vein, but also I'm a bit narcissistic.
Wow.
The Clayburn book.
Yeah, so
Is this the book you were named after?
No. See, Icon inspired you. I inspired this book.
You are a brilliant genius of unparalleled quality.
Thanks.
So what is this book about, being that you inspired it clearly before you were born.
I mean, read the back cover there. It tells you it's basically a story about revenge.
Mike Owens was murdered and his mutilated body left to parch on the mesa. Clayburn rode into the dusty town of Flathead to find his best friend's killer and take revenge. Instead, he found a friendly sheriff, a lusty widow, and too many unanswered questions. But Clayburn was a gambler who got his answers with his wits, his fists, and his lightning guns. Even when it meant taking life and the law into his own brutal hands. So I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Clearly, this book has existed longer than you. It came out in 1961. First printing in 1978. How did you go about inspiring this?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you know how old I am.
How old are you?
But I'm just that awesome.
Can we?
You don't believe I can transcend time and space?
I'm starting to believe it. This is incredible.
Can we talk about your name?
Okay.
First of all, and second of all, the fact that your mom is a babe.
We can talk about my name.
Okay. So your mom, who's a babe, gave you a cool name, and your sister.
My sister has a really awesome name. Her name is Michelle.
Yes.
But with a capital S in the middle, so it's not just Michelle. It goes even further than that with a capital S on the...
That's right. So let's tell the story of when we got to go, because of working on Unilever, we got to go see The Dark Knight Rises before it came out, which was a very big deal. In a private theater. It was awesome. So
I didn't get to go.
You were gone and out of town. So I took
Norris,
who said that should work, since Clayburn sounds like it could potentially be a black guy's name. And he said, yes, and my sister, Michelle, with a capital S, fits the mold.
Yeah, so I don't know. My dad picked my name apparently, and the story is just that he had not I don't know if he knew a guy or if he just heard of a guy named Clayburn, not somebody he was close with in any way, but the name stuck with him. He seemed to like it, and that's
and everybody
why
calls
it
you
ended up.
Clayborn.
People mispronounce it. They'll call me Clayborn. They misspell it a lot. People try to overthink it. I mean, it's just 2 4-letter words, Clayburn. It should be very simple, but it's always like, they write it down and it's like CLAIBURNE. There's like an E at the end. And then they call me Clay. Yeah. So I would always go anytime we stopped at a place like that would have those keychains with the names and stuff, and I would check for my name. I'd always find Clay, of course, but no Clayburn ever. I found a Clayborn once, and that was after searching like 100 of them. Finally found Clayborn. That's as close as I could get.
Just chop the top off.
But I like so what you were saying about how your name is not. It doesn't represent how unique you are. Mm-hmm. And to me, I've always felt that it kind of does. Like, there are probably 2 other Clayburn Griffins in the world, but like, they don't matter in any way. Chances are I'm never going to encounter them. Nobody knows who they are, so it's not like it doesn't affect me. For all I know, I'm the only one.
So many people named Mike King. I've met.
That'd be weird to me.
Yeah, my friends at Distilled, like, they all live together. Then the one person that doesn't work at Distilled, her boyfriend is named Mike King. I knew it was like a DJ named Mike King. When I was in Philly at the ad awards that we have out there, there's a web designer named Mike King. So it's just.
But you see, now you have iPull Rank, you have Icon, so like, and like Kenny, who I work with too, he puts Shark in his name for some reason, and so like it seems like, so if you have a common name, Kenny, you can still get around it by getting this handle, and handles are very popular, like especially online. Everybody had to have this handle, and I never had that. Always felt left out whenever I had to think of a name. It was like but I'm just Clayburn.
I do the same thing.
I don't know what my name should be. Like everybody else was, like putting out their Hotmail emails at the time, and it was I don't know.
Superstar 642 at Hotmail.
Well, I had this one guy his name was Mexican Dragon Killer. That was his handle, and he would shorten it to MDK. I never knew if he killed Mexican dragons or if he was a dragon killer who was Mexican. But he used that, and he like really owned it. He was like, that's my name, and that's my and I've always just been Clayburn. So I've never needed to like create my own name.
I wouldn't say you've just been Clayburn.
Yeah, right.
I'd say you're awesome. So we have to wrap this up.
All right.
Clayburn, thanks for coming through. Thanks
for having me.
You know, eating this fantastic
Bison.
monstrosity with us.
Bison.
It's been awesome having you, and we will see you guys next week on Lunch Break.